Well, hi, it's Ken Ham from Anson Genesis Creation Museum, Ark Encounter here. It's June 25. The Ark Encounter Life-Size Noah's Ark opens July 7. That's the first open to the public. They're putting a lot of final touches here on the outside now. I just went for a walk through the inside of the Ark. I'll tell you about that in a moment, but here you can see instant trees. They're planting these trees in here. This will be gardens in here, more plants they're putting in right now actually. In fact, these trees weren't even here this morning. And you can see the Ark back there, the planking on the port side here, a tiny little bit to do, and they were waiting on some timber which came in Friday. They'll finish that off tomorrow. And the lake, they're going to hydroseed around the lake tomorrow as well and get all that ready. All this area, it looks like gravel. It's actually blacktop. That's just from the construction. They'll clean all that off, and it's going to look beautiful when they clean that off, all the blacktop that's already down here and around. I was just over walking through the queue line area, and they've got a lot of props in there for the queue lines already, and they're ready to hang the monitors for the special program that'll be going on there. As people walk through the queue line, they will actually be able to watch this program where we have this pre-flood tabloid newspaper send their reporter to interview Noah. It's quite humorous in places, and it's really captivating actually. So let's walk over through the trees here a little bit that they put in here. This is the circle, the drop-off circle. Actually over to my left is the guest services building. They basically finished up on that now, just a bit of clean up in there. And it's remarkable how much they've done so quickly. A set of restrooms there right beside guest services, because that's usually the most asked question we get asked when people get dropped off somewhere, where are the restrooms? So we'll just come through here, just to give you a bit more look here, what's going on. They almost finished this main tower. That tower is even taller than the roof of the Ark for zip lines, and they're doing a number of other towers, and I see they've got a number of zip lines. I think probably about 15 zip lines in getting all the final work on that done as well. And so down there under the Ark, the area that's open, that's where the queue lines will be, and then the area that's enclosed, that's where the gift store is under there. And I see they were putting all the pegboard up and the shelves, and I've been told that actually Wednesday they really bring all the resources they have to go in there into the gift store, and it's going to be the most remarkable gift store I think in the world. It is so different to anything else. And then the 1,500 seat restaurant, I was just in the bottom section there. I didn't even realize that the theming would be as startling as it is. As you walk in, you're going to see all these animals, and they're not just sculptures of animals. This is real taxidermy of animals from around the world. It is an amazing collection that a supporter has actually made available to us for this, and they're all being put in their natural habitats, and then paintings around the room. It is going to be the most remarkable thing. People think the Ark is remarkable. You wait to get into that restaurant and to that bottom floor and see the theming. It's just going to blow your mind. The Ark, I was just walking through looking at the exhibits. I was thinking of giving you a live walkthrough because it's much more open now. They've taken out a lot of the construction equipment. I've got a lot of the exhibits in, but you know what I thought? I thought I don't want to spoil it. I want you to come and see it. And it's the same for the taxidermy and the cafe, and I was even thinking of taking you to the queue lines, and I thought, you know what, I don't want to spoil it for people. So I want you to come and see this. It is remarkable. I think people are just going to say it's amazing. So I don't know if you've got any questions for me, but if you want to ask some questions, I'll have a look here and look on my iPhone and see. It's pretty hard to see with my glasses because they go dark in the sun, and I might have to have my videographer read me any questions. Oh, hang on, now I can see a little bit. Okay, any animals in it? Lots of animals, but they're sculptured, not live. Behind the Ark is Ararat Ridge Zoo, and Ararat Ridge Zoo will have zebras and yaks, and there's an ostrich, an emu, and we have camels and donkeys and kangaroos. So we have a petting zoo as well as the zoo. Let me see, this question is, are there going to be dinosaurs on the Ark? You know what, you'll just have to come and see, won't you? The animals that are on the Ark are absolutely startling. They are phenomenal. I encourage you to come and see. I don't want to give anything away right now. What size crowd do you expect opening day? You know, to be honest, we don't really know. I know that a lot of people have pre-purchased tickets for the next, well, for coming months actually, and you don't have to. You can just turn up and get your tickets in the parking lot, which is what probably the majority of people will do. I think there'll be quite a few thousand on opening day. When the museum opened, there were 4,000. I think there'll be more than that here. That's my prediction, because this is much more. Noah's Ark is much more well known than, say, the Creation Museum. Okay, what is the price of admission? Okay, the best thing to do really is to go, because there's a number of different ticket options, and we're adding a couple of more ticket options this week. The best thing to do is to go to arkencounter.com. arkencounter.com. Let's give you a bit more look here at the Ark and sort of scan down the Ark a little bit as I have a look at some of these questions here. See what else we've got here. Will we board the Ark 2x2? Yeah, probably, because as you go up the ramp, it probably makes sense that if you're with someone, you'll be beside them, so 2x2. But I'm sure families will all board at much the same time, because there are big doors to enter in, actually. How accurate is the insides? Does the Bible explain? No, the Bible doesn't give us any idea. It just says that he built, actually the Hebrew word really means rooms or nests for animals. So we've got a lot of cages, and the first deck is really set up as if Noah had loaded the Ark with the cages and storage and so on. The second deck is set up with a lot of themed exhibits. They're absolutely, I can't even explain to you. And then the third deck has quite a number of teaching exhibits, as well as Noah's living quarters too. So let's see, we'll keep scanning back across the Ark here so you can see it in the background here. It is absolutely amazing. Let's see what other questions we've got here, if I can read them. Will everything be ready? Well, that's a relative term, but we won't have everything finished. We never did at the Creation Museum either. We'll continue to add things and modify and do things over time, but it'll be ready. Does it have an elevator? Yes. It anchors to, most people don't realize this, but it anchors to 3 7-story buildings. When you're around the back, you realize they're enormous towers, 3 7-story towers. There's elevators in the East Tower and the West Tower, exit stairs in all 3 towers, and then there's also restrooms in the middle tower. See, people also ask, is it handicapped accessible? Of course. You see, it was designed as a wooden ship, but it's actually built as a building. Even though it's a timber frame structure, true timber frame structure, you're going to be amazed at the craftsmanship inside. But it's built as a building, so it's air conditioned, it's handicapped accessible, but it looks like a ship, a wooden ship inside. It's amazing. It's absolutely brilliant architecture and engineering. It's an engineering marvel, really. And then, let me see, I can't read that quickly. How many people do you expect each day? We don't know, but we can actually cater for, I would say, 15,000, 16,000 a day if we need it. The parking lot contains spaces for 4,000 vehicles, and we have 11 shuttle buses, and we'll be shuttling people back and forwards, and we believe people are going to come from all over the world. The research indicates up to 2 million a year, which should be 7 times the number at the Creation Museum. And on busy days at the Creation Museum, we can get up to 3,000. So that gives you an idea what we could expect maybe on some busy days. But we'll see. For the first 40 days, the way we've done it and structured it, we have 40 daytime entry and 40 evening time entries. So for the first 40 days and 40 nights, you can come for a ticket from 9 o'clock to 4 p.m. or get a ticket from 5 p.m. to midnight. And that's what's going to even out the crowds when we open, because we're opening midsummer. So let me see here. Will you do live opening day? You know what? Just keep an eye on my Facebook. Go to my public Facebook, Ken Ham. Well, you're on that now if you're watching it. Go to my public Facebook. Keep an eye on the Answers in Genesis website, and we'll make announcements about what we're doing in regard to that. What are hours for the restaurant? Well, they'll be the same hours, basically, I think, that the Ark will be opened. We have so many different people, I mean, hundreds of people working on this. And at even for the Ark, we've got a number of different managers and others, and I'm leaving that to a lot of them. I can't keep tabs on everything, so I honestly don't know the hours, but it'll be open early, and basically I think much the same time as the Ark itself. So let's see. I need my videographer to put a hand over that so I can see. It's hard to read because we're in the bright sun out here. Let me see. Okay, here we go. Any reason the lake has an odd shape? Well, we don't want just to make it an ordinary shape. I wouldn't call it an odd shape. I sort of call it a creative shape. Just because our creative team, that's what they wanted to do, and they wanted to make it that shape. Our horticultural team that's really in charge of that wants it to be something special. So will the Ark be open if it's raining? Yes, it's going to be open actually all year. We're not even going to close in the winter, and it will be only closed 2 days, and that'll be Thanksgiving Day and Christmas Day, just like the Creation Museum, exactly the same as the Creation Museum, except we'll have longer hours at the Ark. Okay, so although we're having longer hours at the Creation Museum for the first 40 days and 40 nights, at the Creation Museum, which is 45 minutes from here, we're going to have 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. For the hours. So let me see, there's another question here. People have said they've been praying for me. Yes, thank you. We need that. Is the 7th of July full capacity, or I can't read that question.
It's the 7th of July, full capacity on both shows, morning and evening.
Oh, no, we once we first went to ticketing on the website, we decided we would just let people come and get their tickets here if they want to, and so we don't even know what days most people have purchased tickets for ahead of time. You don't have to; you can just turn up. But if you go and purchase tickets, then coming in on the first day, you probably get priority, and everyone has to, even though they purchase them online, you still have to go to the ticket office. You have to get a printed ticket, and then you get on the shuttles from there. Okay, we move back a little bit into the shade here, so hopefully I can see these questions a bit better out in the sun. Will there be on-site lodging? No, not on-site, certainly not at the present time. We have 800 acres here, but you'll have to go to hotels in the local area. And again, go to arkencounter.com and look up lodging. And you can also call our customer service line, and they can tell you about campgrounds and RV parks, because a lot of people want to know about that. Let's just, as we keep moving down here, looking at the Ark, see what other questions that you might have here. And because I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do any more live broadcasts from the Ark until it opens, and it's possible I may do one, but I don't want to also take away from what they'll be setting up here ready for that. But keep watch on my Facebook anyway, and keep watch for any live video of opening day or other times, or any media events we have or whatever. So just keep a watch for that. Make sure you get the notifications. Make sure you've signed up on my Facebook to receive notifications, and that way you'll get to hear about this. Did God tell you to build it? Well, not the way that God told Noah to build it. God specifically instructed Noah to build it, but with the Creation Museum and the Ark, the Lord has given us a burden to work through the best way that we can impact millions of people with the truth of God's Word and the Gospel. And He put a burden of the museum on my heart about 35, 40 years ago. And then as we were discussing this in 2004, we'd often heard people say, wouldn't it be great to have a Noah's Ark, or to rebuild Noah's Ark, recreate it? And we talked about that as a group in 2004, and we all agreed that, that should be our next step. And when we did the research, there's always man's responsibility and God's sovereignty. And so we did the research and found from a general population research that so many people would come that yes, it would be something we would build. And the fact that we stepped out in faith and did it, and didn't have any funds to do it, and there it is, right before your eyes, that tells you that I believe that God has especially blessed, hasn't been without its struggles, and living in this earth we always have our struggles, but that's the nature of a fallen world. But God sees us through, and He promises that He will. And you know, we've got all sorts of challenges that we have to deal with, but that's what it's like on a daily basis on this earth anyway. So we're looking back around here. I wonder if let's see what else can. Look, tell you what, we'll walk towards the stern of the ark, and I'll have my videographer, who is much younger than me, to read the questions to me, and she's got better eyes than I've got out in this sun to read an iPhone. And if you've got any more questions, she can just read them to me, and I'll answer them as we walk here. So they're putting in the final paving here for a platform. You'll be able to stand in front of the ark on that viewing platform right there. This is close to where the shuttles will drop you off. They'll drive past here, drive past the guest services building, and then drop you off near the guest services building. That's where you can obtain strollers and wheelchairs, and that's where we'll have groups check in actually. Everybody else has to check in over at the parking lot and catch the shuttles. But that's a beautiful drive. I drove it today. You won't be allowed to drive it in your cars, only the shuttles can, but I could do that before it opens here, and I was able to drive down that valley. And I was just thinking, I don't know of any theme park in America, none. I know of any theme park where it has such a beautiful drive on shuttles down this valley, across a creek and this bridge, and it is just amazing. So we're coming up here now, closer to the stern. Sometimes I have a cell phone signal issue down the end of this stern, so if it cuts out, we'll just end the broadcast there, just to warn you, but hopefully it won't, but it could. We'll just see what happens and give you a little glimpse up close here as we come up to the stern. Just a remarkable feat of engineering. You know, I have had many people tell me over the past months, without me even suggesting this. In fact, I had someone yesterday said to me, you know, I think you could call this the eighth wonder of the modern world. I've had other people say, don't you think this is going to be one of the wonders of the modern world? And you know, I like that sort of description, because it is an engineering wonder, it's an architectural wonder. When you get inside, I was just talking to some craftsmen in there who just were employed just recently to help us get it all finished, and they hadn't been here before, and they were just standing there admiring it, and they're craftsmen who work with lumber, and they just said they've never seen anything like it. They just said they said we can't imagine what's going to happen when these people come in here and see this, let alone the exhibits. I mean, the ark itself from the outside, the ark from the inside, it is just, I don't know how to describe it. It's interesting. Even the CNN reporter that interviewed me, and she's certainly not for us and agree with our message, but she said it was magnificent, it was awe-inspiring, and that was just this past week. By the way, I'll give you a little glimpse here. If you look down here at the ark, we'll see if we can zoom in a little bit. See some of the storage boxes that are there? They're just some of the props here in the queue line under the ark. And you can see some of those there. And there's going to be carts and all sorts of things in there as people queue up and go around there. If we come over here, we'll see if our videographer can do this while we're in the shade here. You can see the zipline tower. It's not quite finished. They've got to put the rest of the railings on. See this zipline tower here. It's going to be a 75-foot free fall there too, I believe. And the zip line runs across this valley. That's the valley you drive down and through to get here on the shuttles. It's quite a deep valley. I can't imagine going across that. And you can see the zipline tower on the other side there. And then there's a challenge course. There's a number of zipline towers. And then you can zip across to the bottom of the parking lot and back again. This is going to be some family-friendly place. So what we'll do is we'll walk around the stern here. If I keep my signal, I'll keep going for a little bit. If I don't keep the signal, we'll just end the broadcast. But let me see. Is there a gospel message presented when people visit the ark? And the answer is yes. It'll come through in different places, but in the bow on the third deck. Now, we have a big exhibit that's going to go in 2 to 3 months' time on how we know the Bible's true and the doors of Scripture. In the meantime, we have a mini exhibit in the bow on the third deck that does present the gospel very clearly, but it also comes through in other places too. But once we get the major exhibit in there, that's about the only exhibit that's really not getting in for opening. It's just such a large exhibit, and they're still working on it. It's going to be spectacular, but it's going to be 2, 3, 4 months down the road. When will phase 2 Tower of Babel Sanctuary build, and what all would be included in phase 2? Okay, phase 2 is going to be the walled city. It'll be built back behind the guest services. If we go back here, if you can see a fence that they're putting up back there, behind that fence is where they'll start phase 2, the walled city, and going across to my left as we scan across here, and a first century village, and then beyond that will be the Tower of Babel. We want to start phase 2 as soon as we can. We want to start phase 2 as soon as we can, but we'll just have to wait and see on that. But the artists, the designers have already really started on it, and so once we get open here and get all this settled down, we'll be starting on phase 2. So as we go around the stern here, we'll see if we keep our signal. We can see the Serpentine Walk. This is actually where you start the queue line to go on the ark. You actually walk in here, but we'll walk under there, just take the trip under here and see if, let's see how we go here. We'll walk under here, and I noticed the windscreen came off my microphone, so I hope you don't get too much wind. So we're coming around this Serpentine Walk here, and there'll be gardens in here. They'll get some soil in here, but I'm not sure they're going to get the gardens in before it opens. But we'll just like at the Creation Museum, we didn't have the gardens in, but there's going to be gardens in here, trees and plants, and you can see how we walk around this Serpentine Walk here. When the gardens get in, this is going to be spectacular. But this is how they get to the queue lines, and okay, we're going to have to duck under a little piece of equipment here. That's why we have hard hats right now. And as we come around here, and we kept the signal, well, that's great. We come around here, and then you'll come in under the ark, and then there'll be lines that you form, and you'll hear this really remarkable video presentation, and then be able to watch it on the big monitors that are going in here. They're putting them up Monday, Tuesday, I believe. Under here, they're getting ready. You get the feel of being under the ship, of course, right here. Will the zip line be open the first week of August? Oh yeah, it'll be open the first week of August. They are hoping to get some of the zip lines open for the first day, and I haven't talked to the guy in charge of that, but I know that's what they're aiming for, so we hope so. But they're working on the zip lines, and I think they'll probably have the first part of the course, 15 zip lines, ready by the end of this week, actually. What animals do you plan on keeping, and is there a timeline on when the habitats will be open? The Ararat Ridge Zoo at the back, the animals there'll be kangaroos. I know there's an ostrich, there's an emu, there are yaks, and there are 2 zebras. We've got camels and donkeys. I think we'll have some goats. We have a zoo and a petting zoo. The petting zoo is within the zoo. So that'll be open the same hours as the ark. So let's see what else we got here. Gluten-free food. Yeah, I think we have some gluten-free items at the Creation Museum. They'll have gluten-free items here too, as well. And so are you going to have live actor Noah preaching in public? Actually, eventually, yes. Not to begin with. Out the front, we haven't got the ramp built. The ramp will not be built by the time we open. It's going to be a little while, but they'll eventually get a ramp up to the door on the outside. And we want to have parades, like Disney has parades. People dressed as Noah and his family, and people dressed as animals going on board. What if a Muslim comes and sees Porky Pig? Yeah, I see that people want to be funny in the things that they say. That's okay. We're being serious here. I'm going to answer silly questions. I'd like to travel America just to see this, and I trust that you can. Can't wait to visit. And amazing. Are there any senior days? Well, we have senior tickets, so you can look up that on arkencounter.com. Tell what we'll do, we'll go out the back now so you can see the 3 towers, because people don't realize that this is anchored to 3 7-story towers. If you put all 3 towers together, it'll be about the size of a 200-room hotel. That gives you the idea of the size of these towers. So let's go back here and have a look at these. In between the east tower and the middle tower, you'll see that area enclosed with lumber, timber, those timber slats. That's where the big ramp is. When you come off the queue lines, you go up this massive ramp, and then you go into the Ark on the first deck. See the 3 towers here, the west tower, the middle tower, and this east tower here. The east tower has an elevator, a set of exit stairs. The center tower, which you see is the biggest one, it has 2 sets of exit stairs, 1 on each side, and then restrooms on each deck. And there is a 4th deck. It's a roof deck, but it will not be open maybe for a year or so, or however long it takes us to fit it out as a reservation-only restaurant. But it's called the roof deck, actually. And then beyond, we can see the west tower. It has an elevator and also has exit stairs in it. The exit stairs are like stadium stairs. Imagine 4 sets of stadium stairs. We're permitted to exit 10,000 people at one time. That's how big they are. Beyond that, you can see the restaurant. You see, that's a 1,500-seat restaurant, and it's even dwarfed by these towers, let alone the Ark itself. And we'll show you the stern of the Ark from the starboard side here. Many people wonder why we have that fixed rudder. Well, the Ark didn't have to steer anywhere, and actually with the sail on the bow that you saw, some of the ancient ships had that. It would point it into the wind and keep it steady, and by putting a fixed rudder on the stern, it actually keeps it stable, because they've done all sorts of water tank experiments. And what really there's teaching in that. We're saying Noah wasn't just some unintelligent person. He may have already been building ships in the pre-flood world, that God used the experience he had, and he would have designed something to make sure it floated and was as stable as it could be for his family and for all the animals on board. So we explain all that actually in the exhibits inside the Ark. Let's see if you can get a little bit of a glimpse here, not much, but you get a little glimpse of the zoo, and you can see over there the big building you see, that's part of the petting zoo. And then beyond that, there's a ridge that goes way to the left, and there's lots of structures there with lots of different animals, and there's different pens that they have and different bedding that they have, and it's all done very carefully with all the knowledge of the difference between animals. We got some questions? No? No more questions. All right, so we're going to end off here. Let's go back and look at the stern. And we see the stern here from the starboard side, so we'll walk up to that. In front of that is the Serpentine Walk, where people come in to come under for the queue lines, and there it is. So 512 feet long, 85 feet wide, 51 feet high, built 15 feet off the ground. We'll just do a little swing around the area here. Beautiful rolling hills of Kentucky. It's on 800 acres. At exit 155 at Williamstown, Kentucky on Interstate 75. The interstate goes from Canada all the way down to Florida. It goes down through Atlanta and Knoxville, Atlanta, and so on, and then goes all the way down through Florida. It's the second busiest north-south interstate in America. What a wonderful place to be. You could fly into Lexington or fly into Cincinnati, either of those 2 places, and get hotels up near Cincinnati, in Cincinnati, near Cincinnati, in the Florence area, around the airport, near the Creation Museum. The Creation Museum is 45 minutes from here. Florence, Kentucky is 30 minutes from here. And then Lexington's about 30 minutes from here. Then you got Georgetown, which is 30 minutes from here. And then Dry Ridge is the second exit going north from Williamstown, exit 154, where the Ark is. And I know there are hotels there. And my favorite coffee shop, restaurant, Beans it's called. That's where I like to drop in and get my coffee on the way down here to the Ark. And also get some refreshments, and that'd be a great place for breakfast too, by the way, and lunch and so on. Okay, so with that, arkencounter.com. Go to arkencounter.com and check out our 7 consecutive day unlimited pass to the Creation Museum and the Ark. You go back and forth as much as you want. It includes parking. Parking at the Ark is going to be $10. It's a massive parking lot, takes a lot of maintenance. But the 7 day consecutive unlimited, $99, including parking, and you can come anytime that the Ark is open or the museum is open. And for the first 40 days and 40 nights, it's open from 9 to 4 and then 5 to midnight. You can come any of those times. And that enables you to go to some of the other great places here. I've had a number of people on my Facebook tell me we would never have considered Northern Kentucky for our vacation, but now we're going to do that. Instead of going to Florida or other places, we're going to actually come to Northern Kentucky, because as well as the Ark and the Creation Museum, then you've also got the Dayton Air Force Museum, which is one of my favorite places, the Kentucky Horse Park in Lexington. The Dayton Air Force Museum is the biggest in the world. Great history lessons there, by the way, if you want to take your kids there, learn history about the Wright brothers, World War I, World War II. It's bigger than the Smithsonian. I think better than the Smithsonian because I like the way they've done it. And then you've got the Newport Aquarium, you've got the Cincinnati Zoo, you've got Kings Island, you've got, what else have we got? The Reds, you can go to a baseball game, and Bengals football team, of course. But there's a lot of things to do around here. Mammoth Caves, which is not that far from here. Kentucky Kingdom. Abraham Lincoln's birthplace is not that far from here. So see, lots you can do. You may as well come for 2 weeks. Come and spend your vacation here and spend time at the Ark and the Creation Museum. So I'm signing off June 25. The Ark opens July 7. Signing off here from Williamstown, Kentucky, from Ark Encounter. And go to arkencounter.com.